Welcome to the Be Amazing podcast. On this show, we'll give you the fuel you need through motivational pep talks, the fitness tips to be your healthiest self, fortitude to push through the hardships, and focus you need to build the skills needed for the next level, no matter what that looks like to you. I'm your host, Cel Smart. I'm a wife, a mom, community leader, and fitness professional of over 18 years. I'm here to be your biggest cheerleader, advocate, and connector. Let's be amazing together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Be Amazing podcast. And today, my guest is Julie Stevens. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so fun because we met at No Summit this year.
Yeah.
It was in Arizona. We met and hit it off, and you were part of a panel. And I just had a fabulous time meeting you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we have to have you on the podcast so we can talk about BeTini.
Thank you. It was great meeting you too. You have the most amazing energy. Like every time I came in contact with you at that summit, I was just like, I just feel happier when I'm with you. So you are amazing.
Thank you. That makes my heart happy. I always want to bring good energy because I think there's that quote that says you attract, the vibe is what you attract. And it's like, well, I want to attract people that are like excited and, about life and want to do things and want to grow and change and expand and all of that. So that makes my heart happy that you said that. So thank you for sharing that. What I want to get started first, let's talk a little bit about you. So who is Julie Stevens?
Oh gosh, if I only knew. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I'm a mom of two. I was actually raised Mormon, so to have an alcohol company is not super accepted in my family, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I started out in fashion design many years ago. That was my first passion. And then I discovered graphic design and package design, and I was just like, oh gosh, this is so much more fun. So that's kind of how I ended up in the product packaging world. And BeTini really just sprang out of Girls Weekend. I love to entertain, but I hate to be stuck in the kitchen. I want to be out there having fun with my friends. And so that's what inspired this.
Well, I love that. And I love the fact that you've been creative. It sounds like you've been creative most of your life. Like, were you like that as a child growing up?
Yeah, actually, when I was little, some people want to grow up and be a doctor or a nurse. I wanted to grow up and have a company. That's always been my goal. I spent one summer just creating a coloring book that I had hoped to publish. It never happened, but it was like, that was my first venture into what can I create that I could sell. So, yeah.
Well, I would pretty much buy your coloring book because as an adult, I color to de-stress. So if that inspires it.
I'll have to dig it up and send it to you.
Yeah, do it. So what was the first product is there like the first product you created that was just like, you saw it come to life and it's like, wow.
So the very first product that I created that actually made it into stores, I was in fashion design school, and this is a long time ago. I'm dating myself, but we didn't have computers to design everything on back then. Their computers existed, but we weren't designing on computers yet. You had all this like whole myriad of oddly shaped rulers, like curves and everything, and that's what you use for pattern drafting. And I would always be dropping them everywhere in the hall on the way to class or, on the way out of the car or whatever. And so I created this kind of a portfolio bag. So a huge bag. And then it had sleeves all down the outside that each weirdly shaped ruler could slide down. And I actually sold them to the Fashion Institute, and they were in the gift shop. That was my very first entrepreneurial success, I should say. Yeah.
That is so cool. I want to ask you this. Do you watch Project Runway?
Every once in a while. It's stressful, right?
Well, I know from a creative standpoint, like I'm always so fascinated with how somebody comes up with something creatively, like coming up with a product or having that genius to know how to design it. And you're going from like fashion design to actually creating something that is usable. Like I don't know if I'm going to ask this the right way, but like, what is it about somebody that has that genius to know how to design a product?
I think I was probably like 40 years old before I figured out that everybody's brain doesn't work that way. Like I just see everything in 3D, and I can look at something and kind of take apart all the pieces in my brain and put them back together and see how they work. So a lot of my designing happens before I even go to the computer or pad and paper. And I think that's just a gene. Like some people are creative musically and they think in music. I wish I had that gene. I don't. But I just, everyone has their own talent or their own gifts and you just have to run with what you got, I think. So
I think that for me, from a creative standpoint, it was always like putting on events, or like we would put on different Be Amazing event, weekend events, and there were women's events. And I always had like in my head, I always knew what it looked like. Sometimes it was hard to explain because I could see it. Just like you said,
right.
like you see everything in 3D. I could see the same thing. I could see everything that was going on and happening, from the lighting on the stage to, how the audience, where they were going to sit, what the runway looked like, all of that. So I understand that part of it, but I'm just so fascinated that how somebody can take that and actually create something that can be sold. That's where I was just like, that's like a whole nother level to have that kind of,
I mean, if
I
you can
feel like.
see in your brain 3D like that, you could do it. It would just take some practice. That's all.
With the whole, going into BeTini,
Yes.
because I feel like the beverage market can be hard. And you've obviously, broken in, making a name for yourself and all of that. How long did that take for you to go from creating it to, to the end goal, which is now it's out and being sold?
Got really lucky. I created or designed the bottle, gosh, like 2011 or 2012. And then, then you have a prototype made on a 3D printer. And it's just a lot of steps that you go through. But my very first production run, we used a co-packer. We were really lucky. We got into Kroger, which is it's Ralph's in California. That's where we got in. So right out the gate, we got into grocery stores in California, which is kind of unheard of. I don't know if I was just in the right place at the right time with the right bottle, but I got really, really lucky. I'm really grateful for that, for them giving me that opportunity. So
No, that's awesome. And I know because I've heard other people trying to come up and break into that, and it becomes such a challenge. So for you to have broken through that barrier and to be doing what you're doing now, like, is truly amazing. And you're a female owned company.
yes, yeah, no, I own the company outright.
You said you always wanted to own your own company. Was it a passion of yours, to be a female and own a company? And do you have mostly female, employees, or how does that look for you?
Yeah, most of our employees are female. We just hired our a male guy to help us with international sales. So he's going to have to get used to the girls because here we are. But
Love
he's so far
that.
he's holding his own. He's doing good.
Add a little testosterone to the mix.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good thing,
Yeah,
like,
and I never, it's funny because people are like, it's a female-owned business, and I know that really helps you. I never really thought about it that way. I've always thought about it like, I want to make the best product I possibly can and compete in the real world, not just because I'm a girl, I got in. I know that's helpful, but I think if your mindset is, I want to have the best product, regardless of, which side of that you're on, that'll help you go a long way.
so let's talk a little bit about your product, because I have
Yeah.
one here. And this
Yay.
is the mini, which I love.
Yeah, those are our single serves.
These are so cute. So you talk about this being like a low calorie, like, talk to us a little bit about how you came up with, with it being a low calorie, and like what was your objective with that?
Okay, so unlike you, I am not fit at all. I've probably tried every diet, but not stuck to them, which is the problem. But so I've always I wanted it to be, I wanted to indulge in a proper cocktail, something that tastes real. It's like 25 proof. It's like a cocktail you'd get at the bar without the 400-calorie price tag, if you will. So I set out to do that. It's low cal, low carb, and we use just a tiny bit of pure cane sugar as our sweetener. A little bit of sugar goes a long way. And it's great because it doesn't have that low calorie aftertaste that a lot of low calorie products have. So I'm really proud of our taste profile.
Well, and I think ladies will dig it because,
Yeah.
like, if it's a
Oh,
low
for sure.
calorie.
It's such a feminine brand. I mean, come on.
Well, it is, because the bottle is so cute. I mean, you could even save that, and use it for something.
People
But
do. People have sent me pictures of they use my bottle to make the glass one, like the frosted glass bottle, this one. They
oh, that's
so
so cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
well,
do
I'm even thinking
amazing.
like this is a great one just to put flowers in once you've
Yeah,
done with the
like
cocktail. Like, put your
a little bud vase, right?
yeah.
And you can the on that bottle, you can zip the label off, and then it is just a clear hourglass, plastic
That's
vase, so
so
PET. And it's
cool.
recyclable, so it's, good for the environment, all those good things.
Like it has all the good things. So low calorie, low carb, and then you can even use the bottle after. Like it doesn't get any better than that. What advice do you have for someone that is maybe trying to launch a product or, maybe they're just in the beginning phases of, maybe they have an idea. So we'll start with that. They have an idea. What are some tips to give someone?
I think the first thing you have to do is there's a lot of great ideas out there. And I've had some things that I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best idea ever. And I'll go and do my due diligence and find out, yes, and 10 other people thought so too, and it's already on the market. So if that happens, you could take their idea, see if it's patented, and see if you can improve upon it legally. But if it's already out there, it's always better to have something that's a little bit groundbreaking, or, a ready-to-drink cocktail is not groundbreaking, but I tried to make my packaging unique so that stood out, something to make it pop.
As far as like somebody that's in process and they've gotten, to a certain point with their product, but they're really like they're almost on the verge of, taking it to the world, like introducing it. Is there anything around that you would say as far as from a marketing, like how important is social media? How important is a website? Like all of those things.
That's all part of packaging nowadays, is your social media and your website. Social media is something that I wish I would have embraced earlier. And especially if I had embraced it while I was creating the product and shown like every step of creation. And first of all, it would have helped other entrepreneurs to know like what steps to take and what steps did I screw up on, would have been great. But if you create that social media as you go along and show people what your process was, even if you don't put that out there in the world until after it's launched, having that B-roll is really crucial. I really wish I had done that. So that's something I missed for sure.
Do you feel like having customers send you like or doing taste tests, or like for you as taste tests, of course, but like showing people testing the product, like, showing it kind of in a real time, a real environment
Yeah,
happening?
absolutely. I mean, the best way that I did that, I would just throw parties and be like, okay, here's A, B, and C. And so you didn't know which one was which. And everyone had a little clipboard, a tiny little clipboard, and they got to rate it. And, they got free booze and free drinks and hang out, and it was fun. And they knew up front that this was going to be part of the gig, that, this was going to cost them a little 5 minutes of their time, but it was fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun at our tastings. And you can do the same thing with any product. I feel like just, invite your PTA gals over, or whoever your group is, your church group, whoever your tribe is, and just be like, okay, what do you think? What can I do to improve on it? Which part of this annoys you, right? Because a lot of products, like we buy products all the time, and we're like, gosh, if they just done this different, it would feel better in my hand. Or, what annoys you? Put on your grumpy consumer hat and be like, okay, what about this is annoying? And fix that before it goes out in the market.
I love that you just said that because I think that's really smart. Like that you look at that's how you look at other products. Do you ever do collaborations? Do you collaborate with people?
I'm totally open to it. I've never been approached on it, but I'm totally open to it. If somebody wanted to reach out and get my input, I'm always happy to help people, because, I would have loved to had more help when I was figuring it out the hard way. So
Did you feel like you were by yourself when you were in this process? Like it was a kind of a lonely journey, or do you feel like you had like support that you needed?
a little of both. So for me, the sales part of it is terrifying. I've had to really grow in the last 10 years, grow out of that, but I'm normally very shy. And so that part was really hard for me. And I wish I had a lot more mentorship and help on that end. So maybe figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and seek out people who will, maybe even go with you on a couple sales trips if that's what you need, to just somebody standing next to you going, you can do this. It's all going to be okay. You're not going to die. Because, yeah, I used to say I'd rather clean your toilet than sell something to you.
And now you're selling this product. Like it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So I've had to grow a lot, but it was painful for sure. So
That's so important. I think that that's part of building out, like you said, you're building out a company and a team, and there's going to be roles that need to be filled. And
mhm.
I think when somebody's first starting out, they end up filling most all
Oh
the
yeah,
roles. And
wear
then
all the hats, right?
all
That most of them are wearing a mommy hat and a wife hat, and and maybe even a full-time job hat. And it's like, when do I sleep?
yes.
Never,
Now, were you
never.
doing something full time while you were doing this, or was this like you're all in?
No, I was really lucky. I was a stay-at-home mom when I started this project. So yeah, I had other
Awesome.
design projects that I did, but I was in control of that schedule. It wasn't like I had to answer to somebody at 8 a.m. every day. So I was very, very fortunate in that respect.
How many kids do you have?
Just two.
Just two. That's a lot.
Just
That's
two.
a lot with a company and a husband and all the things.
Okay, so I come from a Mormon family. I come from 7 kids. I have a sister who has 9 children. So in my family, I'm kind of an underachiever, but yeah.
But it's interesting that you mentioned being Mormon and that how has that been for you as far as like you have pushed into being this entrepreneur and this very strong woman. Do you find support from your community there, or has that been a little bit challenging?
Okay, so I haven't gone to church since I was a teenager, but but my family is still very Mormon, and it did take them some time to get used to the idea that I was going to have an alcohol brand. I remember we did this huge video that I had hoped to go viral. It didn't go viral, but I'm still very proud of it. It's very fun.
Thank you so much to Novice Studios for sponsoring the Be Amazing podcast. You might have noticed Be Amazing has a new look, new titles, and a YouTube channel. Kristen Stegall and her team helped me put a new look and strategy in place to take Be Amazing to the next level. If you want to launch a podcast, revamp your existing podcast, or hand off your production to an experienced team, schedule a call with Kristen at novicestudiosclt.com or head to the link in our show notes.
And my son, who was 14, wrote the music for it. He's a musician. And so I sent the finished edited video to my mom in Utah. And she writes back in the email, the music was lovely. Tell Justin he did a good job. Nothing about the product, nothing about the video. Like, so definitely no support there, but also still accepting of me as a person. But obviously they can't support my brand. So
Yeah, well, and I think that's part of the challenge too in being who you are. You're not always going to get support from everybody. And
no.
when it's not coming from where the places you think it should come from, you find it other places. Where for you do you feel like you found most of your support?
My girlfriends and probably my kids.
There was a period of time that I was part of a church, and there was a lot of pressure and a lot of for women being successful or for being strong in who you are and being independent. And there was a lot of judgment that came from that. And so finally broke free of all that. And so I have some understanding and appreciation for even some of the challenges you have faced where you are. But I just mostly appreciate just your whole take. Like you glow, like your whole
Thank
aura
you.
glows. Yeah, you glow. And it's like you can tell that you're operating at like 100% of who you are. And this is your brand. And I really like, I think it's amazing. That's why I was so excited to have you on, because I was like, this is really cool, this is different and this is neat. And normally I wouldn't even talk about like alcohol drinks because I'm not a big drinker, but I have
Right.
plenty of girlfriends that are all into it. I mean, no women, you know how that is. We got socials everywhere. And so, but to know that there's somebody that's doing something that is comes from such a positive place and such a strong place, like I love supporting it and love
Yeah.
sharing it. And I have some women that I'm going to be sharing these with in the community. You sent me a
Well,
box, so I'm so
and
excited.
really that's where this came from, is a desire to spend more time. Like, you know how it is when you're a mom, having a girls' night is precious.
Mhm.
Like if you get 2 or 3 of
Yes.
those a year, like you look forward to it, right? And you
Yeah.
don't want to spend it in the kitchen. Like it's really about spending more time with people that you care about and less time in the kitchen. Right? So
Yeah.
you can prepare hors d'oeuvres ahead of time. You can have your cocktails on ice. Everybody just serves themselves and you just get to hang out with them instead of, being stuck serving them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love that. And then it's like this cute little thing, like if they get those minis and they get to take it home, like what a
Yeah.
great way to like kind of cover everything.
And here's your goodie bag.
Here you go.
Right.
I
Yeah,
love
because
that.
I know alcohol is not really in the fitness realm, right? That's kind of not what you want to be doing if you want to be super healthy. But having a little bit occasionally, I think, is also healthy, right? Some
It's all
downtime is also healthy.
Yeah, moderation is key. Moderation is
Yeah.
everything. And so you pick and choose. And that's what I love about what you've created, because you've been very conscious about, first of all, you really have geared it towards women, busy women, women that want to socialize and have fun. And you created like this really cool vibe. And the other part is it's low calorie, all low calorie, and it's low carb. So if you're concentrated on, keeping up with tracking or anything like that,
Right.
this is
Makes it really easy. Yeah.
yes, this is a great way because you know what you're drinking, and she's very upfront about it, and that's what I love about it, because it was just, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm so behind this. I will totally promote this. So I want to go to self-care because I feel like self-care is really important. I wanted to find out, like, what is self-care for you?
I think the biggest change that I've made in the last couple of years is I started to do meditation, which I'd never done before. I really got into meditation. I actually went to a Joe Dispenza event, which was, I don't know if you've ever been to one of those, but it's a lot of
Oh,
people meditating in a big room. It was kind of life-changing. And that's made a huge difference. And he has this whole line of walking meditations where you listen to them on your headphones while you're walking through the forest or whatever. And so you're getting like some nature and some like mental downtime all at the same time. And that's been really big for me. So that's made a big difference in like having a positive outlook and just letting go of things in your past that aren't serving you. Like, why hang on to them?
I agree with that. I think for me, the big thing this year I've learned is to breathe. So when I
Mhm.
start to feel stressed, like I'll stop myself and take a couple breaths and get centered, and then I'm good. But
Yeah.
taking the mental note of like, oh, I need to breathe right now. Like at first I thought with meditation and breathing, I was like, what? Like, come on, is this really
No,
what
it makes a huge difference. And I'll catch myself if I'm really concentrating, all of a sudden I go, and it's not because I'm stressed, it's 'cause I forgot to breathe for a few seconds. You think that would be on autopilot, but no, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I totally get that. Uh, as far as inspiration, do you have a quote or a song, or is there anything that you kind of lean into every day?
My very favorite quote is by Pablo Picasso. Wow, I could not say that just now. And that is that everything you can imagine is real. And I really believe that. If you can imagine it, you can bring it into the world. So
Yeah.
visualize it and make it happen.
So since we're talking about this, goes along with mine. And my favorite one that I've written down like over and over and over, like in my journal this year, is visualize your highest self and start showing up as her. And I'm like, I want to be able to see it. If I can see it, just like you're
Yeah.
saying, like if I can envision it, like if I
Yeah.
just start talking to myself and seeing it and writing it down and making the vision plain, like, yeah, I'm right there with you. I
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Whether you're creating something or you're creating your next version of you, either way, if you visualize yourself as that, then you naturally show up as that, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And that's
that's
how people see you and treat you. And then eventually it just becomes the next version of you until you visualize the next version. So yeah, it's
oh,
awesome.
that's how I've been since January. And it started last year. I turned 50 last week. So I was like,
Okay, so you
kind of,
look 25. I'm kind of hating you a little bit right now.
I'm 50 and I'm proud of it. I never thought I would say I'm proud of being 50, but I am.
Well, you
Um,
look amazing.
Thank you. But I was writing down things this year, like just making a kind of my husband and I made a vision board that we look at every day, but like just writing things down for the year of 50. And it was amazing, like how much of that whole, like envisioning it and seeing it and starting to see things come real. So it's very, I'm a true believer of that.
Yeah, it's
True.
so empowering. Because if you just continue to see yourself as the person that you used to be, that's who you'll continue to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I definitely don't want to stay in that. Like I always want to keep like moving forward.
Right, right.
Shed the
That's
old.
boring. That's so boring,
Yes.
right? Who wants to be yesterday?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, let's be tomorrow.
yeah, well, and it's funny, and it's like certain things where I used to get really stuck in what people thought. So I'd be really concerned about like wearing color. It sounds ridiculous. Color clothing, like bright colors and things of that nature. I used to have to be very, and I love that you're wearing green. I used to have to be conservative all the time. And so for this competition coming up, I'm like, no, I'm gonna wear color every chance I get. Like I want to be vibrant, and that helps bring out my personality. So I'm really excited because like almost everything I have is pink, but there are different shades and bright and all that,
Right.
which will make it a lot of fun. But like, yeah, I think I like the new version of me, liking, like not letting what others think dictate what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think that comes partially with having the upbringing that both you and I kind of had is that we're taught to dim our light a little bit and be subservient a little bit, and breaking free of that and just being like, no, this is me. I'm showing up as me, and you can love me or you're not part of my tribe, and that's okay, right? You can be part of someone else's tribe. So, but this is my
Yes.
tribe and I'm going to be me. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, you're part of my tribe now. Like, we have bright lights. I'm all about it.
Thank you.
Well, I just really appreciate you taking time today to be on, and I want us to do a toast.
Okay. Cheers. Cheers.
Toast to BeTini and Be Amazing. Where can everybody find you?
So you can find me at BeTiniSpirits.com, and you can order online to most states in America. There's like 5 states where it's illegal. But so if you can't find us in a store near you, then go online and order it up. Thank you again for having me. So good to see you again.
Thank you so much for listening to the Be Amazing podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please send it to someone who inspires you so they can feel amazing too. If you want to help us reach new listeners, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, you can find the video versions of our episodes on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at the Be Amazing Podcast or DM me at Cel Smart. I'll see you in the next episode.